Record to the clouds. There we go.
Cool. Hello, everyone. No one's here yet. Hopefully, we'll have a few people joining us as this goes on. There we go. Mukesh is there. Hello. So I'm here with Catherine today. Catherine Stewart. Probably a lot of you will recognise Catherine. Longer term students, because you'll know her from lessons and showcases and all that stuff. And hello, Mukesh. And newer ones as well, you might have seen Catherine lurking around at the most recent performances, taking photos and things, and she often comes back and does the occasional live set for us as well. So we thought it would be really fun to have a little chat today. Catherine's got a lot going on. Hey, Mike. Catherine's got a lot going on to do with not just guitar, but music in general. She's very, very musical. Hello, Gemma and Zia. And I thought it might be a kind of inspirational maybe for some of you, particularly the younger kids, just to see someone who started as a young, well, you weren't that young, you were 12, but that's still pretty young, right? When you started, and your kind of your
Trajectory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how you've gone. So I just want to talk a bit about your background first of all, Catherine. So yeah, you were 12 years old. As I was saying to you earlier, I've still got the email that your mum sent me when she inquired about lessons, and she said that you were already playing piano and singing in choirs at school.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that and why you originally decided to switch to guitar.
Well, I've always been musical, but like I always sang a lot, and I don't really remember how I ended up doing piano lessons, to be honest. I don't remember.
Was it something that your mum thought would be a good idea?
I think it's just I think my parents, what with me being the firstborn and everything, they knew that I was musical and I liked learning instruments, and they were like, "Oh, we'll give her that one, send her off to do that one." And I was all right at it, but I wasn't. I got into Muse, and I just wanted to play all the little keyboard riffs and things that they played at the beginning of all the festivals.
The band Muse. Okay,
The
yeah,
Muse,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the band
Yes, I
Muse.
remember. Yeah, I remember doing lots of Muse songs with you in our lessons.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was really, really obsessed. So that was kind of why I wanted to start playing guitar, and it was 2 years younger than Matt Bellamy when he started learning to play.
I was
Is
going to
what I was
say,
going to
because
say.
he is like he's an incredible he's a classically trained pianist, isn't he? And I'm sure you've seen them. I've seen them live as well, and he always does this little section in the show where he plays this
Shows
incredible
off.
classical piano stuff. Yeah, I know, and he's such a nice guy as well, and you know. So yeah, but he is an incredible guitar player, so that's something really good to aim for. So was that your original goal then? Like when you like the
Yeah,
reason why you wanted to learn it was basically to learn Muse riffs and
my
learn
original goal was to play Wembley Stadium with Muse. Yeah.
well, you can still do that. You know, you're still young. You can still do that. If anyone knows
Oh,
Muse, you never know. There
yeah,
might be someone watching who can
hook
put
me
you
up,
in touch.
hook me up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've got some. I think I've got some old showcase footage. I think one of our very first showcases of you playing a Muse song actually with my
Oh,
brother on
really?
drums and me attempting to
Oh,
play on it.
Exopolitics. I still
That's the
play
one.
that riff to warm up
Oh,
sometimes.
dear. There you go. There you go. Awesome.
Sorry, I'll switch my emails off. That's my fault.
Oh yeah, no, I've just turned my phone off as well. So when you were learning then, I mean, obviously this was like I hadn't been teaching. Well, I'd been teaching a few years, but to be honest, and I can say this to you now because we're friends, you were kind of in my early experimental student group where I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, my heart was in the right place. I wanted to do a good job, but I was kind of picking bits of this and bits of that, and what do you want to learn? And all that. So I don't remember our lessons being all that structured, although I did, I think, try to put some kind of plan in place from what I
Yeah,
remember.
when I usually sort of interrupted very early on and just
Yeah,
was like, I've got these songs that I want to learn.
yeah,
Teach
yeah, yeah,
me.
exactly. So what do you remember about finding like the most challenging thing in those days when you were first learning?
I remember the F chord winding me up for about 6 months, and that blooming Stars and Stripes. What's the
Star
American
Spangled
national
Banner
anthem?
that we used to
Yeah,
sing.
Star Spangled Banner. Do
Yeah.
you remember? So we played that in a group, and I think everyone was so fed up with it because it was so timing was so difficult.
Yeah, because of course, well, first of all, it's in 3/4, isn't it? And people aren't
Yeah,
used to playing in that. And then, of course, the second thing is you come in on an eighth note. I think there's like a pickup beat, isn't it? So you have to come in, like you're not coming in on beat number one as well, which people also find tricky. So
yeah. I think I mean in hindsight, I would have liked to have spent more time doing um, picking and more riffs. I mean, I wanted to be a sort of lead guitarist, but what I found myself drawn to over and over again, and what I still do, is I just wanted to accompany myself singing. I just wanted to be able to play the songs. I just wanted to be able to play the chords,
yeah,
to be a rhythm guitarist in
yeah,
my heart of hearts.
yeah,
Um,
fair enough.
so,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I'd like to have, and I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about it. But I would have liked to have really spent a little bit more time just on like picking. It's so basic, but
Yeah, absolutely. And the students are probably sick of us talking about this because we've talked about it a lot over the last three of these. Yeah, I like since we've all been teaching the G4 method, I think and I think Mike mentioned this last week as well. I think we were all a bit skeptical about like why have we got to do all these picking exercises, but then we realised ourselves. Mike was saying himself that just doing the picking exercises at the beginning of every lesson, he found his own picking was really improving. And I certainly found the same. When we first started with the G4 method, it was me teaching mainly. So yeah, and I remember thinking the same thing. Oh, this is boring. Oh wow, I'm actually getting much better at.
It's just the foundations of things, isn't it? Because when I was a teenager, I really resisted doing singing lessons because I was like, I can sing, I don't need to learn to sing.
Yeah.
I was very insistent. I could do the notes. I don't know what this singing lesson nonsense is about. But because I now run my own choir and stuff, I was in a lot of choirs at school and I really, really enjoyed it. But since running my own choir and having to do more intensive, like it's a full hour of singing at people as loudly as you can to try and get them to sing back to you. I did a couple of singing lessons and I basically said that I think it's the foundation, I think it's the breathing that's not right. And she taught me how, literally I only had 2 lessons because A, I was broke, and B, it was right before lockdown.
Right.
But
so this was really recent then.
Yeah, beginning of this year. And it's completely transformed the way I sing, and just knowing how to breathe properly. And I know that there's still lots more to learn, but it's the same thing with guitar. It's about having those healthy foundations then to be able to, it enables you to do so much more with what you've already got.
Yeah, and that's a good point you brought up about about singing lessons, because people often think that either they can sing or they can't sing. And a lot of people say, oh, I can't sing, I'm tone deaf, I can't hold a tune. And being able, like I was the same, like I could hold a tune, and I could sing in tune, and but I never really saw myself as a singer until I was probably about your age actually. So but yeah, this whole thing about, well, like, what's the point of having singing lessons? You can either sing or you can't. But it's all the breathing. It's singing from here rather than from here, and knowing how to project your voice, and all that's really useful anyway for all kinds of other things, not just singing, but like just having to talk to an audience, and you
should probably be sitting up straight and
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
But what I was going to say there actually is
Yeah.
all that stuff tends to go, the reason that you kind of drum it into people's heads over and over and over and over again, and is with the breathing for singing, or all the other foundational stuff you do with in guitar lessons, is because as soon as if you want to get on stage and do it, as soon as you do that for the first time, it all goes out of your head. Like you have to kind of have muscle memory built in.
Yeah, Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and yeah, that's something, the performing side actually, that we'll talk about in a bit. I noticed we've got quite a few more people here. So Polly's here, Andy, Annabelle. We've got quite a few people. Anita, Ruben, Pritesh. I guess that's Ria, Ross, Holly, and Krishna. And I do, a former student. Sorry, I do know who that is. Hello, I just can't remember your daughter's name. It escapes me for now. Anyway, so yeah, I remember you started writing songs really quickly after we started doing lessons. What, like, had you already been writing songs before? Was there like a conscious decision to start writing songs, or did you just sit down and start playing something and think, oh, that sounds like that could turn into a tune?
I was always going to write songs. That was the
Yeah,
that was the deal. I wasn't I
yeah,
wasn't playing guitar for the love of it. No, I
yeah,
was,
yeah,
but I was yeah, it was definitely a route into songwriting as well for me. Um, and I was surprised and very pleased when I realised that I could write songs on guitar
yeah,
like so much quicker and more easily than I could write on piano.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I was rubbish. I couldn't write on piano, and I gave up after I got to grade 2, but I never did my grade 2 on piano.
Okay, okay.
Um, so I
But
really,
that's good for a lot of the theory stuff, isn't it? Yeah, that
yeah,
helps.
um, yeah. Although having gone through some of the G4 stuff now, it's amazing how much of it disappears. Just need
Yeah, well, yeah,
to-
if you're not using it, and also, yeah, I mean, I don't play. I mean, I mean, I know my way around a keyboard, but I don't play piano. But with guitar, it is a really good instrument for songwriting, because you just learn a couple of chords,
and you're
three,
off.
four chords tops, and yeah, you can put them together, and yeah,
I
so
do.
it's not a difficult thing to do, really.
Yeah, I was just going to say I do remember the first song I wrote on guitar, and like everything else I write, Vicki will be aware that it was terribly, terribly morbid. Um, Hang on a second. I'm going to sit up a bit higher so you see what I'm doing. I think I was just sort of going. Vicky will know this one,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I made you record it on some little recording. I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah, it was my little recording gizmo that I used to have.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that one. But that's just like mucking around with a couple of strings, isn't it? That's just like doing a drone on the second string, and then mucking around and finding notes that kind of fit well with it on the first string. Like anyone
yeah,
can do that, like junior level one
yeah, no, definitely.
can do that.
And it was, but
Yeah.
I think I sort of had to, and with not a very sound understanding of what I was doing at the time,
Mm.
I had to kind of find the chords that worked around it.
Yeah.
And I did eventually. I can't remember. I think my verse was literally that, but the chorus is the C, G, C, E minor.
Minor, of course, yeah.
Yeah. I can't quite remember the words,
Yeah.
yeah, it was that sort of thing. But when I know, again, I'm jumping ahead and we'll talk about this later, but when I teach people songwriting, I try and stress to them how like simple the foundation, I keep using the word foundations, but like how simple the basis of a song can be. Like that little opening thing, I don't even dare call it a riff because it's not really. And then just being able to work out, for example, if you know what key you're in and what chords work with it. Or in my case, I worked out that actually I was kind of playing chords, so I worked out what notes those were, and like, oh right, that sounds like a C, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I mean, that's something that I really recommend for anyone watching, who's interested in writing songs. It's like, it's like with everything else, and um, you just have to give it a go. And probably your first song is not going to be, you know, number one hit single material. It would be lovely if it was. But, you know, you've probably written, what, hundreds of songs since
Yeah,
then.
and forgotten about half of them probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then you kind of you know, you go, oh, that works, that one doesn't, I like that one, I don't like that, I like a bit of this one but not the rest of it. So then you kind of keep that, and you know, you're kind of constantly developing them.
yeah,
So yeah, and it's something you can do at any level really. I mean, even, you know, like I said, even with the four chords that we do in junior one, just, you know, you can just experiment putting them together in different orders, and you know, you can come up with something. So, you know, it's not all about playing hard and fast, which I know we've talked about in the last few of these. That's why I thought this would be a nice little
well,
counterpoint to it, because there's
the
all
first thing you ever taught me was that been through the desert on a
oh
horse
yeah,
with no name, just good to be out of the rain,
yeah,
which is two chords the whole song.
yeah. You were absolutely right, and that was always my first song that I used to teach, because it's just the E minor chord, and then you stretch your fingers out, and like any you can do that in lesson one.
And
So I might resurrect that actually, because
that's
yeah,
probably what got me hooked. I was like, oh, straight away I can get in and I can start singing along, and you know.
fantastic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great, good stuff. Cool. Okay, so then obviously you were doing all this stuff, learning with me, writing songs and stuff, and then you grew up and you decided to go to
Not much,
BIM
yeah.
down
Yes.
here in Brighton. So it was quite a bit of one of those kind of strange life coincidences where we both moved to Brighton at around about the same time.
Yeah.
It was 2014, I think, and you moved down to go to BIM,
Yeah.
and you did, if I remember rightly, you did the music business course there.
The accelerated music business degree.
That's right. Yeah, you did the degree in 2 years, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you decide to go down that route with your studies and your music?
Um, well, I didn't do music at A level because the music A level was, um, I did music GCSE, but music A level was much more classical and really heavily theory based, and I could have done it, but I just didn't want to. I just wanted to write rock and roll songs.
I didn't do music A level for exactly the same reason. So if that's
Hasn't changed.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that was like
Or it might have now, but it certainly hadn't when I was at school.
yeah,
So I didn't really have the kind of music credentials to go and do a music course, like a performance course or anything. Or I didn't feel like I did. I didn't feel like I had the same standing as the other, you know, people who would be doing performance courses or songwriting courses.
yeah.
But well, you know, my dad wanted me to do a business course, so
So
I
you
thought,
combined it, music, business,
yeah,
like it.
I sort of thought that, like, if I understood how it worked, I could work around it. And then really what happened was, if I understood how the music industry worked, and I sort of decided it was all a bit horrible, but anyway,
So it put you off.
put me off a bit, yeah. Lots of very self-important people, but
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Well, I know actually, yeah. So, so was that kind of, apart from it putting you off and there being loads of self-important people, did you find that course kind of helpful for what you've subsequently ended up doing? Were there some kind of takeaways from doing that course that you still can refer back to now?
I definitely think some of the, as much as I hate marketing, on a philosophical base, you know, thingy, I do think
Unfortunately, you got to do it.
yeah, I think some of the marketing
You want
lessons
anyone to know who you are, yeah.
drilled into my head, you know, things like, you know, if you're doing a gig and you don't have a mailing list, what are you doing? You know, if you don't, you know, like that sort of stuff. I remember having one teacher who just every single lesson was like, where's your mailing list? Why aren't people giving you your email address? And so later on, I mean, I had mailing lists for my bands, and for myself, when I was just when I was at BIM, I was doing, for the first year, I think I did an open mic night every week, nearly every single week for a year.
Wow. That's awesome.
I was trying to get my sort of 10,000 hours in.
Yeah.
And also I was really lonely. So I had to go out and do something because I was in a house full of strangers in Portslade.
Wow, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's a great way of meeting people though, isn't it?
Yeah, you certainly meet some very interesting people, and you find that they do all the same open mics that you do as well. I think I did nearly every open mic in Brighton at the time, just different days of the week, every week. But that was great practice. It just forced me to find the time to practice. And yeah, but marketing and always having a mailing list, I still do it for my choir now. I do it for everything. I get cool email addresses.
Good stuff. Fantastic.
Can't get away from me.
And talking of that, I want to talk a little bit about the other things that you're doing now as well. So you got, as far as I know, you got 2 projects on the go. One is the Brighton Song Lab, where you run songwriting courses. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a bit about those? And well, obviously, are you still running them online, or are they on hold for now?
They're on hold at the moment, simply because my day job is like sucking in all my resources. It's a bit of a manic time for everyone, but you know, everyone seems to be working their socks off or furloughed. Like there's no in between.
Right. Yeah.
But, and unfortunately, I'm in the former group working with socks off, so I've not really had much chance to do songwriting stuff at the moment. But actually, it started with the choir. So I really wanted to join. So basically, right. So I had a year where I started a new job, lost that job, moved house. Moved in with a boyfriend after like being together for like 6 months, and it was one of those years where it was just everything happened all at once, and I didn't really play music for ages, and I split up with my band, and because I've always done music, it felt a bit sort of,
it feels wrong when you don't do it for a
like
while.
a bit of your identity's gone off somewhere.
I feel like that now, to be honest. I'm really, I mean, as much as we're still doing this and everything, it's not the same as getting together and with people, is it? Yeah.
No, it's not. And I thought, well, I loved doing choir at school. I wonder if it was a sort of September time. I thought, you know what, I'm going to join a choir and I'm going to go and learn some Christmas carols and stuff. And I discovered that there were, apart from church choirs, and there were lots and lots of charity choirs, but you had to be part of a certain social group or a church or a school or another community. And part of my thing was I wanted to join a choir that was, because I didn't have much of community in Brighton. I had my friends, but like not didn't know many other people, even after uni, because everyone goes back home. So anyway, and I discovered basically that none of the choirs that didn't have any requirements were also free. And I wasn't having that, because I thought, you can't not, you're telling me you can't sing in a group for free? It's not expensive. It's like, I've got a keyboard, so I packed my keyboard up in the car, and a pair of speakers, and very, very kindly the people at Brighton Youth Centre let me have a room for free, and if they were still open, they'd still be letting me have a room for free.
That's great.
Like 2 years later.
You're not paying any room hire fees or anything?
No, it's really, really, really kind of them.
You still spend quite a lot of time putting all the arrangements together and everything, don't you? That must take a bit of time.
It does take a lot of time, but I do feel quite, I was going to say, you're not going to like this as someone who charges for music lessons, but guitar lessons and singing lessons and things are different. But just singing in a group with a bunch of people who haven't been auditioned, there's no real training, you just get some warm-ups and then you just dive in. And I don't make them read music or anything.
It's very accessible. You want to make it as accessible as possible.
That's it. And I thought, you can't charge for that. Like, I can't believe it was like £100 for like 3 months for some of these professional choirs. And I sort of just wanted to have fun. I didn't really care about how professional it was. So anyway, so that's what I set up this choir, and it's had very fluctuating numbers. I've had weeks where 2 people have shown up, and I've had weeks where 27 people have shown up. So it depends on the time of year and stuff. But anyway, I've really got sidetracked. What I was saying was that I was doing that and I was loving it. And I suddenly found myself, after years of saying that I didn't want to teach, really enjoying teaching. So I thought,
I did the same thing, to be honest.
I'm not a teacher. I am a teacher. And really enjoyed it. And I think in my head, a teacher was someone sort of disillusioned trying to teach a bunch of teenagers maths, as opposed to someone who's really, really enthusiastic about music, dancing around in a room trying to, and it was so much more dynamic. And I wanted to sort of be able to do that and get paid for it. And I thought, what skills do I have that people, that other people aren't offering as like a teaching thing in Brighton? And what do I think is like a good value, good fun thing for people to do that I feel that I know enough about to teach properly? And I thought, well, I can probably teach songwriting, because especially if I teach it for beginners. So that's what I did. So I set up a summer course. God, it was last year. I can't believe it was only last year. It feels like it was ages ago. So last summer, through June and July, I ran a course. It was 2 hours every Friday night, I think.
I remember.
It was one of those things. I could only get a Tuesday night or a Friday night, and I couldn't do a Tuesday because of work or something. Down in the back of the cafe down the road, and it was really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. And excluding website setup, I probably made about 60 quid.
You got to start somewhere.
So I spent quite a lot on marketing, and I ran around all the houses, putting leaflets through people's doors, spent days and days doing that. But yeah, really, really, really enjoyed it. And so I've been running variations on that, and trying to run what I've been, and I will start this up again soon, but just not right now, but what I was calling song jams, which are like, you get given a theme, and within the hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or however long, you have to write a song about that theme to that brief. And it was just a really fun challenge, and it really forces people to focus their minds. And
because you're not just sitting there going, oh, what do I write a song about today? You've actually got that's a really good idea.
There's no time to faff about. That's in C major, let's do it.
Fantastic. And you're going to start running those again as soon as you can. You're doing your choir online at the moment.
Yes.
You've got something to show us. I'm not sure if we haven't had any questions. I don't know whether that means everyone is just absolutely captivated by what we're saying, or if they've all got bored and gone. But
I'm sure they're captivated.
But anyway, for those of you who are watching or who do watch later, Catherine's going to show us a little snippet of what she's been doing with her choir.
I am. This was last week.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
So because we can't be in the room together, I've been getting them to record it and then I'm putting it together.
Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control, make God's. This is ground control to Major Tom. You really made the grade.
So, you know, it's not super professional or anything, and you can hear the click track really loudly, but it's
That's great. That's all different people recording that at home,
yeah.
you, and then you put it all together.
Yeah, and they just literally, they go onto WhatsApp, like they've got my number, and they send it as a voice note.
Yeah.
And I put it all together.
Fantastic.
Anyway, I just want to get to the best part of this song, and then I'll turn it off.
Very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to show you. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to have to pick your brains about that because I'd love to do something like that with our students. I'm a bit scared, but I've been told by lots of people that it's actually very easy to do. So I need to come out of my comfort zone a bit on that, I think. Yeah.
It's just discipline and getting people to record it.
Well, yeah, that's always the
challenge,
part, isn't it? Yeah. Cool.
Metronome is mandatory.
So speaking of recording, I know we did have a question. Oh, thanks, John. Ruben's enjoying watching. That's good.
Oh.
Cool. So yeah, we did have a question in the group. It was actually Kat, who's one of our bass students, asking about recording setup. Now she was asking like obviously for her as a bass player, but I guess it's the same, right? So, and I know that you've done a lot of home recording, so I wondered if you could share some of the stuff that you use to record yourself at home.
So, I've got
earlier.
This slightly dusty audio interface, which I can't remember how much it was when I got it, but it definitely wasn't more than 100. I think it's between 50 and 100 pounds.
Okay, great.
It's not like super. You can get much cheaper ones. You can get, there's a Bayringer one you can get off Gear for Music, which is like £24 or something. And I don't know how good it is for music, but I've used it for other work things where sound has been fine. And basically, you just, that's for your microphone. That's for your guitar or bass if you want to sort of go straight in. If you're recording a slightly nicer way to record than straight, I mean, bass is probably okay, like, you know, straight in, but guitar, it's slightly nicer to plug a microphone in and put a microphone,
mic your guitar up, yeah.
Yeah, put a microphone either to an acoustic guitar or to a guitar amp. And the microphone that I've got, I think, is an SM57, but
very good vocal mics, right?
SM57 or 58 are pretty indestructible.
Yeah, and they've been industry standard for a long time. I remember using those in the 90s before you were born, so
you feel very professional when you get one of those.
Yeah, definitely.
But it literally, like, it's got this little thing here, which is it's the same output or input. It's the same thing as your printer. That is your printer cable will plug into it, and then you just plug it into the USB on your computer. And not doing like a sales pitch for Focusrite or anything, but you get a free version of Ableton with this, which is like,
that was my next question. What program would you use with that? Yeah, okay.
I use Ableton only because it's slightly better than, like, you know, GarageBand or something, and I got it free with this. I know a lot of those things do
whether it's that one or any interface, they do generally come bundled with one of the like Logic or
Although
Yeah.
I have to admit that guitar bit on Space Oddity was recorded on my phone.
Oh really?
I know.
That's nice sound. Wow.
Recorded on like the Samsung thing. So
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, and in fact, I think Andy, who originally replied to that request from Kat, said recording on your phone is fine. Like our phones are so good now, we all the things they can do, it's so there you go. It's pretty easy and pretty straightforward to do. Cool. Okay, Catherine, I'm aware that we've gone over time, but I just want to ask you, if you don't mind, just finally to end on so for students who don't know, we started training some new teachers up around about a year ago. I think Carlos is one of them, and he's just joined us. Firstly, to get some more teachers trained up to cover for Mike and Jimmy when they take time off. But also because at the time I was planning on opening new locations. I don't know whether that's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen?
no one knows.
Doing the online thing at the moment. But anyway, so you got involved in that, and obviously you've had to kind of go backwards to a certain extent because obviously you didn't learn using the G4 method, so you've had to go back and kind of fill in some of those gaps. So two questions for you. First of all, why did you decide to do the training? Mm-hmm. And secondly, what have you found the most challenging about learning the G4 method? You know, compared to how you learned previously.
Well, I decided to do it because because I was really enjoying teaching, and when I wanted to learn a bit about teaching kids, so I came and sat in on a couple of lessons with you ages ago, and I just thought it looked like a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I thought I find teaching really, really fulfilling. I really enjoy it. And yeah, so I wanted to do it for that reason. And you know, it's nice. It's one of those things that like you're giving to other people, but you also get a lot out of it. I think definitely as a teacher.
Yeah. And if you do it right, you can make some money out of it as well. And then you really are winning.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. In terms of what I found hard, I think two things. I think there are some of the picking exercises, and not like arpeggiating and things like that, not arpeggios, but some of the picking exercises where I thought, oh, I'll breeze through that. Did not breeze through it. Did not breeze through it. And just like sitting there thinking, oh, I'll just play through this quickly. And then like, oh no, I can't play it. And having to like sit and learn it. And like after having played guitar for over 10 years. Actually being quite, surprised and having to go back to the beginning of the booklet and remind myself all the basics. And, but also I think I rush everything, so that doesn't help. So I think, I'll just do that really quickly, and then I can't play it quickly, so I think I can't play it at all. But actually playing it slowly.
You need to go back and watch the last 3 of these, where I think in every one of the teachers mentioned practicing slowly. And I'm guilty of that as well, or certainly have been in the past, because you're just impatient, aren't you? You just want to you want to play all those Muse riffs immediately, and then when you can't, you think, oh well, I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah. I can't remember what the other thing was. I thought there was one other thing that I found difficult, but I think it's gone out of my head. So I think we'll leave it there before I expose too many more of my inadequacies.
Oh, and Seb, again, joined just as we're about to say goodbye. But Seb, you can rewatch it. It's been a good one. Thanks everyone who watched today. I hope this has been useful. And if you want to find anything else out about Catherine's free choir, now that she's online, you don't have to live in Brighton. So and it's free. It's not going to cost you.
Facebook.com/groups/ Free Brighton Choir.
I'll put a link in it in a minute. Cool.
Okay.
All right then, Catherine. Thank you so much for joining us today. You're in charge of this, so you're going to have to stop the recording. But we'll just say goodbye to everyone, and we'll see you, or one of us, some of us, will see you all again next week, same time. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.